can take it away.
Thanks very much, Jillian. Hello, everybody. Yeah, Master Robertson was talking about doing this, and he mentioned that it's kind of weird because you're only looking at a picture of yourself. I think they said there's 75 people out there, and I'm only looking at myself. But in any event, I have no idea what level of experience people have. I don't know if there's a bunch of newcomers to the business, a bunch of experienced people. So you may find that I'm repeating things that you already know, but maybe that's going to be helpful in that you can say, okay, other people are doing that. I guess it's a good idea. Or maybe there'll be some new stuff for people that don't, that haven't sort of done this. So it's a bit of a mix. So I'm going to approach this in two phases. The first is to sort of prepare your own self, your own office, your own equipment. And then the next phase is going to be about preparing your clients. So the first thing that I want to say is, I mean, you need to start at the beginning, really. So really at the beginning, I think that you have to pass the LSAT. That's the first. Okay, I'm just kidding. You got to throw a joke in at the beginning. I have no idea if everybody's kind of guffawing or groaning out there. No. In terms of having a mediation, it's different than going to trial, of course, but it's maybe more than likely, I'm going to say 98% more likely to happen than an actual trial. So you have to approach this, you have to be ready to sit down and talk. You have to have your expert reports done. You have to have your document production produced and done. Anything else that you need, income tax returns, employment files, all of that stuff. Make sure you're ready to sit down. If I have seen a mediation fail, and actually I think it's very rare to have a failure in a mediation, because everybody wants to settle. The insurance company wants to settle, the defense lawyer wants to settle, the client, my God, wants to settle, I want to settle. So what is the problem? And the experience that I've had for the failures really is that we weren't ready. I had one happen here about 2 or 3 months ago, and I knew even the week before, I thought, this is not ready, but maybe we can go through, maybe we can massage it and get it, but it didn't work. Insurance companies, they want evidence, they want proof. So if you don't have that and your client didn't go to a TMJ doctor and you're kind of saying to the insurance company, well, just give us some money for TMJ treatment, and they're going, no, we don't think so. You can't blame them, it's your fault. I should have bailed even if I had to pay a couple $1,000, but that's live and learn, right? And this business is, it never stops. I think that also very important to get done early is a settlement offer. You have to tell them how much you want. Let me see if I can share the screen here on something. So here's what I use. I put up a spreadsheet that puts down everything I can put down about the claim, the breakdown of damages that you can claim for, pecuniaries, household, loss of income, futures, generals, loss of consortium. It's all there with the breakdown of interest rates. I'm not trying to skim through this too quick, but then there's an individual breakdown, what you're claiming for household and why. So let me just, that information, I sent it in, so it's available. I'm not trying to skip over that too fast, but get your offer in so that the defense side can sit down and talk about it and decide what they're going to do. However, the basic principle, if you ask me, in this business is you have to start too high, for sure too high, at least double what you hope to get at the end of the day. So you have to make sure your client understands that we are starting too high. You put your car in the paper, you want 9,000, you got to start by asking 12, right? That's the way it works. So generally people understand that stuff. I also have a letter that I send out to people. Probably this is not it. Just have a look. Oh yeah, here it is. Here. So I do a breakdown of what a mediation is, what it isn't, how it's different from a trial, how it's different from arbitration or just a plain settlement meeting, what their obligation, what they need to do, what their role is, what happens at a mediation. Another thing that clients need to do is to sit down and read their materials. You have to make sure that they have the materials. You can send that out by mail or email, or Mr. Kaustis talked about a Canadian program called Sync. I'm not familiar with that. I use OneDrive. We put everything up in the cloud. The clients are given the link. Some insurance companies won't do those things, but there's, that's a different issue. But make sure that they read their materials. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is which mediator to pick. And I have to tell you that I don't think really which mediator is an important question for me. I want the insurance adjuster to be happy with who the mediator is, because those are the people, I already know what we want, and it almost doesn't matter to me what I want the mediator in the other room beating up on them and telling them, come up, right? So it has to be somebody that they're going to respect, a retired defense lawyer or something like that. Often they'll say, well, which mediator do you want? And I'll go, you guys pick whoever. I'm happy. I think most mediators are good. I've never met one that I didn't think was trying to do the best job they could. Also, I echo the comments earlier about equipment. In your own office, you have to have proper equipment. You can't be, like, I'm on a pretty much brand new computer here right now. You have to make sure your camera works, your audio is working, and so on and so forth. Also, you have to make sure you have Zoom or WebEx or one of those other programs on your computer so that you're not sort of trying to do it all the morning of the mediation. And also the sharing screen, I don't know what happened there, but maybe I'll share this. It's the world-o-meter of coronavirus at the moment. I'm going to stop that. You need to be familiar. Well, there you go. And I blew it. So, I don't know why that didn't work, but it didn't. So you need to be familiar. If you want to put a document up, make sure it's working. Another thing that I like to do is have a backup laptop for the client. I have a client that we give it's a questioning, not a mediation, but we have a questioning coming up in about 3 weeks, and she doesn't have a laptop, she doesn't have a computer. So I said, well, I've got this old laptop here. The sound isn't very good, so if you have a set of headphones, that would work. And yeah, please, absolutely. So, make it easy for the client. I think that the mediator needs to be the host, and we've already talked about breakout rooms, and that's very, very useful, I think. To my knowledge, WebEx doesn't have that option. I've looked and I can't find it, but Zoom does. But some insurance companies won't use Zoom. But where I was going with that, I said the host of the meeting has to be the mediator, because they're the ones that set up the breakout rooms and go back and forth. You and your client are in one room, the adjuster and the other lawyer are in the other room, and the mediator can go back and forth and talk with each group. I think it works great. It's actually, other than a couple of starting jitters, which I've noticed that the clients can have, and I'm kind of coming to that in a minute. So in any event, there's a lot of stuff to prepare for in advance. Again, don't start 5 or 10 minutes before the mediation's about to start. Get this stuff done in advance. Right, so comfort levels and preparing your own client for mediation. Everybody's got a level of comfort that they might be nervous to begin with. I think that with the virtual mediation, what I've noticed, I've had 3 of them so far, what I've noticed is the clients have tended to clam up. They don't talk as fast or as well or as deeply, if I can put it that way, as they do in person. That I've noticed that they kind of humble and haw. So you do need to make sure people understand that this is it's a real meeting. The only difference is you're talking to a camera or a computer screen with a picture of you on it. So you work with the client a bit more than I think in a regular mediation where everybody's in the room, because it's different. It's different. I haven't quite figured out why. Zoom is the program I recommend, mostly because it does have the security. There was some problems with Zoom at the beginning. As you may notice, there's a number that you can just punch in if you're on Zoom, and you can join a meeting unless the moderator has got you blocked or puts you in a waiting room or has to give you permission. So there was a story of some church that sent out an invitation to come and join their meeting, and somebody got on there, and played havoc with it, started putting up, putting up pornographic pictures, and everybody in the church is, oh my God. So, but I think that you could probably do that with WebEx too. They have, so why they're down on Zoom, I don't know. I think it's a great program. I haven't actually had to go look at some of the other ones. There's other programs available. So we had one of the mediations we did was it was TD Insurance, and they said nobody is going to use Zoom. Nobody. So that's coming from Toronto, so you can't tell them anything. So what we did was we had the plenary session with WebEx, and then we shut down WebEx, opened up Zoom, and then me and the mediator and my client were able to communicate like that. And he just goes on the phone with the defense lawyer that, if anybody's able to just be flexible, then you can make this work. You have to make sure you send your client the mediation brief, your own brief, and the brief of the defense. Make sure that they've read that stuff beforehand. Again, they might wait until too late. They might start reading it the morning of, and that's just, there's not a lot of time when you're really, yes. So we should do a test run with your client, because a lot of people people know about Skype and people know about FaceTime, but they may not be familiar. I mean, the first time you go to click on the link, you get sort of taken through a bit of a maze. You got to click audio, you got to click video. So make sure that that's not something that they're sort of stumbling through, trying to figure it out at 5 to 10 the morning of the mediation. Do a test run beforehand. And also, I understand that, well, there are demonstration videos on YouTube. Just click on YouTube, go WebEx or Zoom, and it'll take you to a number of different videos that show how it all works and so forth. So make sure your client understands the program using chat. You can send secret messages back and forth. Just make sure you're only talking to the client. You don't send it to somebody who shouldn't be looking at it. I also like to encourage the client to prepare a talk in advance. I think that they need to, rather than write something out, you don't want to have them reading something, but make bullet points. And people tend to ignore this. They don't understand that suddenly they're going to have a camera on them, and they're going to start to panic, right? And they don't. So you also should be kind of like you're putting them up for direct examination. Have some questions, have some thoughts, direct them to this report or that report, or what they didn't agree with in the defense medical guide, and that sort of thing. In terms of a framing of the screen, don't have a lot of backlight. If your client's got their camera pointed or their computer pointed at a window, make sure they move it so that there's not being all washed out in the light. Make sure that they speak into the microphone directly, because if you're off to the side, and the camera, the mic, maybe not. I think they're a bit directional, those microphones. Make sure there's no noise in the background. I think I'm treading on Bob McBain's materials here, but that's important. Make sure there's no kids or dogs screaming in the background. make sure, I think that you should have, this is my aggressive tie for today. You can see there's a Chinese dragon. It's my war tie. So if I want to be aggressive in a mediation, this is what I wear, as opposed to the blue one.
Thanks, Mark.